Brought to you by...
There is nothing better than a good old-fashioned slasher film. However, what tends to ruin the experience is when the one you've chosen to sit down and watch is so derivative of another, far better movie that you feel like you should have just gone and revisited that film instead. Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. It's 1981, and the girls of Alpha Gamma Theta, a sorority, are having a party. As the new pledges arrive, so does an uninvited guest. Little do the sisters know someone is watching them in the shadows. As the girls shower, study, eat, and sleep, the stalker studies the girls. One by one, he finds the girls at their most vulnerable and murders them. The police hunt for the missing girls and their killer, but will they find them in time? Or will the girls be forced to fight for their lives?
The Sleeper.
Shot in just 13 days and opening in 1979, the film begins exactly the same way as Black Christmas. A POV shot looking up at the outside of the sorority house, slowly making its way inside. The opening is steeped in heavy grain, overlaying each frame, assisting in capturing that beautiful 70s film look. Obviously, this film is in no way made in the 70s or even 80s. However, great care is taken to help it feel as though it was. As simple as it is, I am in love with the opening credits. Beautiful, glowing red retro fonts over a static, locked-off shot of an old landline resting on a table. It's so simple and feels so authentic. After our opening kill, we jump ahead to 1981, where a series of shots introduce us to both our protagonist, Amy, and the campus of the school. These moments feel very reminiscent of Ty West's House of the Devil. Visually, the lighting of the film is extremely flat and underwhelming. However, a lot of older films had a similar look, so I felt like it added to the experience a bit. A fair amount of handheld is utilized, likely due to the budgetary limitations, although they do make a strong effort to lock off the frame whenever possible, and deliver that authentically 70s look with slow zooms, dolly moves, and tracking shots. The exterior of the sorority house that the film is primarily set in looks very similar to the house from Black Christmas. The performances throughout the film are not very strong. They are dull, wooden, and overall completely unbelievable. But honestly, I've seen enough bullshit indie horror films to be able to stomach some terrible acting. The score of the film is very appropriately matched, beginning with slow, rhythmic plucking of strings, shifting through dissonant, ominous tones, and even getting in some sweet synth here and there. However, some of that leads to a weird as fuck group dance sequence at a bar that feels so fucking out of place it hurts. And yes, it lasts the entire duration of the fucking song. Why? 20 minutes in, and I've already had enough cheeseball performances, bland set design, and comical sex scenes to turn this shit off and never look back. However, I trucked on. The film sets us up for a gore fest with our first victim, Stacy, who has the absolute pleasure of getting diddled by Numbskull Bobby before our creeper sleeper sneaks into her room and face fucks her with a hammer. While no actual nudity is featured in most of the film, the filmmakers do take whatever opportunities they can to emphasize legs, asses, cleavage, and the curves of the female form. I'm not complaining or anything, but it's just funny that they clearly couldn't get anyone to agree to being naked. So they just put in as much hope that we would see something as they could. However, we do finally get an itty-bitty titty reveal during the big pool scene. For a very low-budget horror flick, the kill scenes are pretty good, showcasing what gore they can, some of which is pretty graphic, while others don't show very much at all. In a film where everyone gets fucking hammered to death, Of course, Pool Boy gets strangled so that they can, conveniently avoid ruining a pool with blood. Ain't no way they have the budget for that. But this kill does lead to Itty Bitty Titty getting a sweet but poorly executed decapitation. Now I know what you're gonna say. If it's poorly executed, how is it sweet? Well, let me remind you, decapitations are always sweet. It's just a fact. They gave the killer this giallo-style black gloves and peacoat look that helps him feel like a true 70s slasher. However, it's his eyes that stand out. Pale, glassy pupils stare out from the darkness, reminiscent of the eyes of a blind man. There's no attempt to shy away from what the killer looks like in any way. They do light him in a theatrical manner, but he is clearly visible in shadows most of the time. The finale is so damn anticlimactic that it completely deflated any goodwill that the rest of the film attempted to build up, opting for that Friday the 13th style ending with a cameo by Joe Bob Briggs, hilariously dressing in the same cowboy getup he always wears, just with a white doctor's coat thrown over it. After careful consideration, I have to give The Sleeper a pretty strong D. Now, apparently the rocking chair with a dead Mrs. Joy was the first thing that the director wrote of the film, which tells me that his first idea when deciding to make a feature was to steal directly from the only real film that inspired him. He's claimed that the film features homages to many other films, but to me this looks like a straight-up ripoff of Black Christmas. Why, you might ask? Well, because it's basically just Black Christmas with a very slightly different coat of paint. Don't believe me? See for yourself.